What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Smoke and Meteoras, the podcast where we go beyond the names, the characters, and the highlight reels and talk about what really matters. My name is Marissa, and this week I am joined by none other than the insane Dick Lane. Thank you so much for
Ah,
joining, Dick. How are you doing today, man?
excellent. Thanks for having me. So this is only your fourth episode of this series.
Of this series, yes. April will hit a year for me, so we're slowly getting there.
Hell yeah.
So I start all of these podcasts off the same way with the same question. And that question is, what is the dumbest thing that you have done for wrestling?
Oh my God, that's a difficult question to answer. I've done many very stupid things for wrestling. Uh, I guess just starting to do it in the first place would be the best answer. I started very late. I was 28 when I started training, and I'm 42 now, almost 42. But yeah, I should probably be more focused on adult responsibilities. But I continue to wrestle.
So starting so late compared to everybody else in the area and what's out there now, do you feel that when you walked into the business that you were kind of like out of place?
um, no, so I had always been a wrestling fan. Um, I never really got into indie wrestling. I never went to like any local independent shows. Um, but no, I didn't really feel out of place, and everybody that I started training with at the chop shop at RWA was very welcoming to me. Um, yeah.
So when you did get into wrestling, why do you feel it was dumb to do it so late in life? Why do you think like is there some sort of age limit on it in your idea,
No,
or
I don't
just
think there's I don't think there's an age limit, but your body definitely does start healing more slowly. You have a lot less energy as you get older. Um, but yeah, I'm sorry, I lost track of what I was saying. uh,
it happens to the best of us?
uh,
But no, go ahead.
so everybody else starts, when they're in their early 20s, and they have this time to learn and get better and get better. And I feel like I've, hit my stride now, but I'm 40, so and I can't really keep doing this forever. You know what I mean?
So do you feel that starting later in life taught you something out of it, or do you think that you could have learned the same thing 10 years ago?
Yeah, I wish I started earlier, so that I could have more years to put into wrestling. Um, but yeah, I uh, yeah, I don't know.
No worries. So let's go back to the very beginning before Insane Dick Lane ever even existed. And like who you were before wrestling fully pulled you in. So what did wrestling mean to you growing up? Like when were you first introduced to wrestling, and what led you to wanting to start wrestling?
I got into wrestling actually by playing the N64 game, WCW versus NWO, and then I started to watch it. And this was like when I was in junior high school, so it was like the middle of the Attitude Era. Um, and I became a wrestling fan, and I started to backyard wrestle in high school, um, with John Thornhill, who's also another local wrestler who's made a name for himself. Um, and he went on and started going to wrestling school, and I did not do that. I tried to go to normal college, and I had a band, several bands that I was in. I was playing uh, at music clubs on the weekends, and I kind of just forgot about wrestling until my late 20s when I ran into T Phoenix at an NCW show that was going on next to my house, and that was around the time that the Chop Shop 2 was opening up, and yeah, JT Dunn was running classes, and I joined that class with my friend Alan, who went on to become Dr. Cobblepot.
So, when you first started training, did you feel confident when you first started running the ropes, or did you feel more out of place and that it was a little harder to get a grasp on things?
I was a little overconfident. I thought that I was going to be the man, like right out the gate, because I had backyard wrestled, and I thought that I was good at wrestling, but I really didn't know anything at all. And so that was an awakening for me to think that I was like, oh man, I can get into this. I can be a wrestler. Let's go. And then I realized I was a big dummy and I didn't know anything, and I needed to learn what wrestling was actually all about.
So, after you went through training and made your debut, what do you believe was the first moment that really tested your belief in yourself?
Um, one of my first matches I ever had, it was for the Biff Busick training camp. So um, Biff was running a training class out of the Chop Shop, and I would go and dip into his class as well as going to the RWA class. Um, and he kind of had just like a few month long training course. And at the end of it, there was like a graduation show. Um, and Sully Banger was actually the most notable person to come out of that. Um, so at this graduation show, I was wrestling Triplicious because he was there. He would go to the trainings, and he was somebody that was extremely helpful in my training. And when I got out to the ring, I completely forgot the entire match that he called. So he just had to kind of beat me up for 5 minutes. And it was really embarrassing. And I realized I needed to put my head in the game and get better.
So, who are some of the people that believed in you early on when you were starting out?
Um, Definitely T Phoenix. Um, he saw something in me uh, very early on. And also, I'd have to say the Mac Attack trainee number one and Monster Mac. Um, we are similar type of people from similar type of background with similar interests, and they kind of recognize that. And I, they actually had me on their podcast. Like I had only wrestled 2 matches or something, and they had me on their podcast, so I had absolutely nothing to talk about. Um, but yeah, they've always been big supporters of me. And Tom Billington. Tom Billington took me in. He took me under his wing, especially after my friend that I was training with, Alan, who went on to be Dr. Cobblepot. He ended up moving to Arizona, so I didn't have any like close friends. But Tom kind of took me in and made me a homie, and kind of indoctrinated me into the RWA.
So, was there ever a point where it felt like quitting was easier than continuing on? And if so, what made you stick around?
Yeah, definitely. There was a point when I have a specific memory when I first started. I was driving to a RWA show. I was doing some kind of wacky segment with Irish Warrior or something like that. And I was driving to the show, and I remember thinking to myself, like, oh man, I should just turn around and go home. Like, this is crazy. Um, but I just made myself do it. I committed to it, and it was kind of so like I very easily give up on myself, and the only thing that makes me continue is kind of like the expectations that other people have of me. So I was like, oh man, I can't disappoint these guys. I can't just back out. I can't do this. So kind of like not wanting to let people down has gave me the perseverance to continue in wrestling for the most part.
So when it comes to the local independent scene, it's a bit of a different grind than what most people are used to seeing when it comes to WWE or AEW or any of the TV products now. But what does a typical wrestling weekend look like for you?
Um, Back before COVID, I was wrestling almost twice a weekend, especially at the Chop Shop. There was like 3 or 4 promotions running out of the Chop Shop, and I would just work every single one of them, and it would be the same exact people at all the shows, all the same fans. So I was just working for the same like 30 people every single weekend. Nowadays, I work probably like 2 to 3 shows a month, um, and usually it's on a Saturday. And my mom, who I'm very, very grateful for, will watch my daughter so I can go get beat up and kicked in the face and stuff like that.
So being a part of the indie grind, sometimes you guys gotta drive long distances, and some nights are just really, really tough nights. But what is a drive home after a rough night that still sticks with you?
Um, Let me think. Oh, it was at the Chop Shop. I was in some kind of multi-man match, and with my gimmick, I do like supernatural stuff once in a while. I used to do it a lot more, um, where I have superpowers and telekinesis. I did this thing where I punched the mat, and everybody bumped in the ring. So there was like 10 people in the ring, and I stood in the middle, and I punched the ground. And doing this fake superpower punch, I ended up breaking my pinky, and it swole up like a beehive, and yeah, it was very painful, and it was embarrassing that I did it doing something so foolish.
So, have you ever felt like the work that you've put in hasn't been seen?
um like I really only work, you know, in a 15-mile radius. I did a couple promotions in Maine. I've done a few shows in like Connecticut, New York, but for the most part, uh, it's Rhode Island and Massachusetts for me. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have you felt like your work, like the
Oh,
work you
hasn't been
do
seen.
it isn't being seen?
I try to promote myself on the internet as much as possible, and you know, I get comments from people in other countries on TikTok and stuff. Um, but yeah, I feel like I've gotten out what I've put in promoting myself and at the level of wrestling that I'm at. I'm obviously not, you know, a top athlete. I'm barely an athlete at all. I play Dungeons and Dragons with my free time. I play video games. I play music. I've never been, you know, a guy that's grinding in the gym. Um, but I love wrestling. I love the art of wrestling. I love the technique of wrestling.
So, for the wrestling that you do, although it's a bit of a lighter schedule than most, what have you had to sacrifice outside of wrestling to keep going?
I mean, yeah, I have a daughter. Um, I've spent many hours of vacation time at work to go drive and wrestle. Um, like I said, I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot of D&D games that I'm missing with my homies, um, and just, you know, time with my family. Um, but it's not too bad.
So, what is something that fans might not understand about wrestling at the local level?
Um, hmm, this is a this is a complicated question. Uh, I would say I actually I think that wrestling at the local level can sometimes be more impactful to the fans than television wrestling, because at the local level you are right there in front of the person. You're not, a mile away from the wrestler watching them on a screen. um, and like every little minor dumb thing that a wrestler does uh, could be remembered by someone in the crowd for the rest of their life. Like if I walk through the crowd and I give a certain look to some little kid, he could remember that because I remember going to shows and, remembering specific things that, heels did to me or faces did to interact with me in the crowd, um, that are more important than, you know, WrestleMania. I don't remember what happened last WrestleMania, but I
Mhm.
still remember, you know, the healing me out when I went to the local wrestling show when I was 10. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I've been in that boat myself. I mean, obviously not a wrestler, but like in my sense, I grew up watching Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks. So like seeing her on the indies and then seeing her make it big, like people in my mind are like, that's so cool. But in the back of my mind, the coolest thing is like, no, Alicia Edwards from TNA loves Hello Kitty and she loved my Vans when I was 15 years old. That's what I remember. So, speaking of small moments like that, what is a small moment that reminded you why all of this was worth it in the end?
Hmm. Um, a few weeks ago, I got to cut this nasty live heel promo at Proving Ground, and my entire career I've mostly been, comedy, babyface, and for the first time, I got to feel like the big bad mean heel, and the crowd reacted to me in that way. And even after 13, 14 years of wrestling, I'm still experiencing new things every time I get in the ring. You know what I mean?
So, I want to talk more about moments that stuck with you, not necessarily like your big match moments, but just ones that you still carry with you in the back of your mind. So, what is a match where you truly felt seen for the first time?
Um, in RWA, I debuted as like a comedy heel, like a Santino style heel with the superpower gimmick. Um, and I got chuckles and laughs for the most part. But then I did some kind of angle where Tom had mind controlled me and turned me evil, and we were wrestling with in a triple threat with Connor, Jim and Jack Connor, and I don't remember the exact gimmick, but he did something to like to turn me back to the good side, and the it was my first time receiving like a huge pop when I turned babyface after being heel in the match. uh and me and Connor did like a bunch of tag team things to him. We did like some kind of stupid young buck spot that was popular, that was a meme at the time. I don't remember exactly, but I got a big pop for the first time.
So, is there a match that you're proud of that you feel doesn't get enough recognition?
Yeah, right now I'd have to say um all the matches I had with Harry Brooks, who is now Daisy Brooks. Uh, all the matches I had with them at RWA were amazing, and they were way better than they should have been. We had been training together with Brickhouse at the time, so we were very familiar and we were on the same wavelength. And it was probably the best like wrestling matches I've had, where we were, doing cool wrestling spots instead of just goofy stuff or character stuff.
So, what is a moment that hit you emotionally more than physically?
Um, I when I won the Wrestle Party Championship, definitely. I have to admit, I got a little teary eyed when I won. I believe my opponent was King Leon the Sixth, but then when I won, the whole locker room came up and hoisted me up on their shoulders and held me up, and it was and it was the first and pretty much only time I've ever won like the big belt of the promotion. You know what I mean? And it was just really special to me, and I'll never forget it. And yeah, it was pretty emotional.
So, thinking back on all these moments now, like what's the first feeling or emotion that comes up for you?
Um, I'm thankful for wrestling, thankful for to the people that have supported me, um, especially T and Todd and all the people that booked me when I first started, and I was just a nobody. I'm still a nobody, but when I was an extra nobody, Jerry from MAW who booked me, JC from NCW. I'm just thankful more than anything that I've gotten to be a part of this and gotten to pop the fans and feel like the center of attention every weekend for the past whatever many years.
So, if you could relive one match just to feel it again, what match would it be?
Hmm. Um, I would have to say Proving Ground. It was the Dick Busters, which is me and Tom Billington and Sean Leader and Derek Simonetti. It was us against the Dirt City Murder Crew. And I had been out for the birth of my daughter for almost a year. And this was my big return, and they teased that I wasn't going to be there. Uh, so it was like the four of them beating up on the three of them, and then I came out and made the big save and bumped everybody around, and the crowd went nuts, and it was just a very electric moment, and I'll never forget that either.
So, looking back, did that moment or any of the moments mentioned change anything for you going forward?
It motivated me. It made me realize that I still love this even after being away from it. um, it made me realize that yeah, I still love wrestling and I still want to do it, and there's still new things to experience in wrestling. Um, and even if I don't, advance professionally within wrestling, um, there's still new stuff to do and new art to make and new ways to pop people and new ways to get people mad.
So, how do you believe these moments shaped you not only as a wrestler, but as a person as well?
I'm definitely more confident in my everyday life because of wrestling. Um, I've I've always been kind of a shy, meek human being when it comes to standing up for myself or doing things to improve my life. And wrestling has given me a lot of motivation in these other areas of my life. To get in better shape or to grind and put in hard work into whatever I need to put hard work into. Yeah.
So, did any of these moments change how you defined success?
Uh, yeah, I think so because I didn't have any of these moments, at WrestleMania, on pay per view, on television, but they are, you know, the most important moments in my life. You know what I mean? So they're very important to me, and I hope they're important to other people that were there and people in the crowd and the people that I worked.
Do you have any insecurities that still follow you into the ring?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I'm not a tremendous athlete. I can't do 450 splashes. I'm not, a I'm not jacked. I'm not muscle bound. Yeah, I'm also, fairly socially awkward, but I have my own sort of flavor of entertainment that I can bring. Uh, but yeah, I always feel self conscious every single time. I still do every single time I come out to the ring. I get a little butterflies.
So speaking about like your own flavor of entertainment, how do you know when a match really connects with the crowd?
Um, I mean, the obvious answer would be, you listen to them, and if they are popping and reacting the way that you want, then they're popping and reacting the way that you want. But yeah, I always try to like take a look around because different types of fans react differently. Like kids will react more to certain stuff than hardcore, internet wrestling fans, and the parents of the kids that don't necessarily watch wrestling that much will react to other things. So you have these different sub genres of fan within the crowd, and you just have to kind of keep an eye on all of them and kind of try to do stuff that will work for all of them.
So let's kind of reset for a second. What is a fan interaction that reminded you why all of this matters?
Um, Last weekend, I was cutting a very long promo. I went on like a filibuster. I cut this promo much longer than I should have, and there was this one young girl in the crowd that was all over me. Every time I gave any sort of space for her to yell at me, she was yelling at me. Um, and I went up to her and I said, um, "Hey, little girl, did you give yourself that haircut in the mirror this morning?" And everyone in the crowd just kind of went, "Oh!" And I simultaneously felt great because I popped the crowd in the way I wanted to, but I also felt horrible that I had embarrassed this small child.
I feel like I know this small child too. So, what is a night that went completely wrong but still taught you something in the end?
hmm. Um, Probably every every part of my feud with Steve the Turtle, probably because he is unpredictable and you can talk to him and you can work things out with him, but it's not going to happen the way that you envision it anytime. So, uh, working with Steve was wild. Um, and actually, when I first went to NCW as a fan, Steve the Turtle was the only person that I had heard of because he was in Chikara. He had like a small, like cult internet following because of his gimmick and stuff. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I got to work with Steve all these years and that we did so much stuff together and we teamed together and had a feud together. But he was so unpredictable. Uh, yeah, it was wild.
So, what is a backstage moment that meant more than a crowd reaction?
Hmm. Uh, yeah, again, I have to go recently where I cut this promo. I'm just going to talk about the same promo that I cut last week. I went into the back and I said a lot of disparaging things about my fellow wrestlers, and they all kind of looked at me, smiling. Because I was like, the only reason these wrestlers are nice to you is so that you buy their crappy $30 T-shirt that they had printed for $7, and everybody was kind of mad at me that I gave away the secret that they're selling these that they're selling t-shirts for 25, 30 bucks and getting them printed for 7, 10 bucks. But
Gotta
yeah,
make money somehow.
yeah, yeah. I'm not saying anything bad, but yeah, yeah. They were mad. People were mad at me and popped by me simultaneously, I believe.
So, what do you listen to while you are on the road? What do
Uh,
you listen to get amped up for shows or to wind down from shows on the way home?
I listened to a lot of doom metal recently, and I don't even really know the name of a lot of these bands. I just kind of like find them on YouTube, and the YouTube algorithm feeds them to me. Um, MF Doom, obviously, huge inspiration to my personality and my gimmick in wrestling. Uh, all types of hip hop, Run the Jewels, Wu Tang, all the Wu Tang affiliates, all the solo albums. And I'm also a huge grunge guy. So, like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, I try to find new music and stay cool for other little Gen Zs. So I'm not an old man. Some kid called me Unk. Some uh, some kid called me Unk recently, and it ruined my life.
That's great.
It's horrible. It was Sean Arger. I forget his name. He's a wrestler for TCW. Sean, that kid. I don't
Oh,
know.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I could be
Yeah,
drawing a blank at the same.
he called me the cool Unk, and it just was devastating to me.
At least he said you were cool.
Yeah, I know.
So let's think about what is ahead for you. Um, do you believe that you've had your moment when it comes to wrestling? And if not, what would that look like for you now?
Um, I've I've had my ups and downs, um, but yeah, I don't really think of wrestling that way. I just want to keep the story going. I don't really have anything in my career that like stands out that much higher than the rest of my career. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't have any like major like monumental achievements or anything like that. So it's all kind of been smooth sailing, and I just keep on sailing straight forward. And like I said before, I'm just excited to do new things. Every time you get in the ring, it's something new, it's something different, and yeah.
What would you say to someone grinding locally who may feel stuck?
Um, I think I would be the wrong person to ask, is what I would tell the person. But yeah, you just got to try new things. You can't be scared to step outside your comfort zone. Um, try different characters if you think you need a new character. Workshop different ideas, different phrases, different poses, different maneuvers, different attitude, different music. You know what I mean? You can't be scared. If you ever feel like you're stagnant, then the only way to do it is to change, right?
Absolutely. So, towards the end of all of these podcasts, I like to ask a little bit of personality questions to help bring out a little bit out of you. So, we're going to move on to those. And with my first one, considering you've had a gimmick based around superhero powers and superheroes, you are now in charge of creating a faction.
Okay.
Faction of superheroes. So they can be Marvel, DC, wherever you want to pull these from. It's going to be you and four others, but one of them has to be a female.
Okay. Um, so it would be me, definitely Doctor Doom, the hardest G in all the comic books. He He got magic like Doctor Strange. He can make, robotic stuff like Iron Man. He has the money of a whole country behind him, and he just don't take crap from anybody. He's the best. So Doctor Doom, uh, probably the Sentry, because I just love that original Sentry comic. Most people are probably familiar with him from the Thunderbolts movie, which got him pretty good. He kind of has like that evil side that can come out. He's like a Superman with a evil side. Uh, for the female, I'd have to go with Storm. She's just the most powerful mutant, and she's a complete badass. Uh, Always loved X-Men, and I love her attitude, when she's like, "Ice and wind, freeze this guy." Ah. And who else? So, how many do I have? That's three,
That's
right?
three, so you've one more.
One more. I think I should probably go. I'm gonna have to go Magneto, my boy Magneto. Uh, he's been going hard since World War II. Uh, he yeah, he's just one of those guys where he was a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy. He's fighting for justice for his people, and yeah, I like his attitude, and I like those tweeners in comic books. Like Doctor Doom, Magneto. Those are my favorite type of dudes.
All right. So you have been given the opportunity of a lifetime. Any fast food spot is willing to sponsor you and create the Insane Dick Lane value meal. What fast foods restaurant would you like to go with, and what will be included in the meal?
I'm gonna say Dave's Hot Chicken. That's my jam. I like that spice. I don't go for the spiciest, but the second spiciest, because the first spiciest just hurts. It hurts on the way down and on the way out. You know what I'm talking about. But I would have to say it would be a spicy tender inside of a hot dog bun, served with jalapeno poppers and a small Fresca, because that's my diet drink of choice, Fresca.
Right. I just lost my train of thought. There was another question I was going to ask, and I had it in my brain, and now it left.
Hey,
Oh,
that's okay.
um, you are booked for a show that only has access to Disney or Nickelodeon songs. What is your new entrance theme?
Disney or Nickelodeon? Uh, uh, I'm just gonna go with Aladdin has all my favorite jams, but I'm trying to think. Uh, I would say Prince Ali is like my favorite, but that wouldn't make any sense. Uh, I'm trying to think of something that would make sense. Um, I don't know. Let me say, how about Muppet Babies? Let's go with Muppet Babies, because that song just slaps.
All right. So, this brings us to the last segment of my podcast that I like to call Promo Roulette.
Yo, what? You have a song?
Yeah,
You have a song? You
I
have a
meant
song just for this segment? That's impressive.
so. This is an ever evolving segment. Previously, I had a champion, and then I went away from that. And the start of this month didn't go as planned. So, this week for promo roulette, you are going to shoot a random promo on a random object. You can get as creative as you want. You can be a heel, you can be a face, whatever you want to do. But your random object is going to be, I'm looking around the room trying to find something. Gonna be a coat hanger.
My mind just went to terrible places as soon as you said that, but I will try. You piece of crap coat hanger. You couldn't even hang my baby's t shirt because you're so weak, you crappy coat hanger. What are you made of? Are you made of metal or are you made of spaghetti noodles? Because you are weak and crappy compared to me, Dick Lane, the archmage of professional wrestling, the metahuman supervillain. Hold on, let me just take a quick sip of my favorite drink, Fresca. Anyways, you coat hanger, I know that you are probably on the list. And when I say that, I don't mean the Chris Jericho list gimmick. I mean the Epstein list, you piece of crap coat hanger. I seen the pictures of you and Bill Clinton on that plane, coat hanger. And I could kill you with my mind. Haha, I am Dick Lane. Brah. Is that good?
That works for me. So, I have another guest next week, and what I was trying to do with this podcast was let you pick the item for next week's guest.
Oh, let's go with
Fresca. Oh, God.
So whoever's on next week is going to have to cut a promo on Fresca, the drink. It'll be great.
That is everything I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me this week, Dick.
Thank you so much for having me. I tried my best. I am not good at this stuff. I'm not good at Zoom. I'm not good at technology stuff. But and I'm not good off the cuff. I like to call my matches and call my promos. But thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. But we made it through. You figured it out. And that's all that matters. But that is everything I have for you and everybody viewing at home. And we will be back next week. And the person shooting that promo on Fresca will be none other than Felion Ryan O'Neal. So we will be back next week with him. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Whoop, whoop.
That's the wrong music. There we go.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.